what are those pillars that people can start to design? What does that look like?
Lovely. I see somebody has really done his homework for
Sure,
that.
that's what we do. We do homework. I didn't do homework that well in school, but so I
Yes.
do homework for sure.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think people can do to start to become more self-aware?
Nowadays, if you see, a lot of people are addicted, a lot of addictions are going up, or the loud music, or some or the other reason. The moment you leave people 15 minutes to stay in a room without engaging in anything, can you just sit with yourself?
You mentioned to start slow, right?
Yes.
Focus on 1 to 2 pillars. Let's say somebody is very new. They haven't even thought of this concept. Do they start with the physical, or do they start with what they're struggling at most, or do they start with what they're already excelling at? Start there.
The problem with everybody is that we all look for a silver bullet that say, hey, you have to walk 10,000 steps every day, and everybody starts doing it. You have to wake up at 5 a.m. and everybody starts doing it. No, these things are good, but you've got to understand your system, what system you're operating in. And nobody understands you better than yourself.
Yeah.
If you don't understand yourself for any reason,
I looked at you on all social media channels, and you have anti-CEO. Walk me through the thought process.
when I started my own company, I am the final decision maker. I run the company, I run the show. But still, I'm a very human guy at the core. I really love when humans grow, they succeed. So somehow I felt like CEO is not the tag that I can carry. It's a huge responsibility. And there is a certain lens that you look at CEO as. And I feel I'm not that competent. So I thought of having something where I could be among the people, I could be humble towards my employees and all those things. And nothing was working, nothing exactly was coming along. So finally, I had to tell people that, hey, I'm CEO who doesn't follow the CEO rules, the CEO rule book of business. So for me, my people are very important than over money. That's where the anti CEO, everybody loved it. And since then, I've been sticking to it.
Yeah,
So.
just being more approachable in your day.
Yes, more approachable. In fact, our policies start with people first, and then we look at the money. So money comes the second, not the first one. We make sure that all the policies, we all sit together. So it's more like not following the business rule book, but trying to create our own. So that's why.
Yeah, no, I love that. I just wanted to ask about it and get an idea. It sounds, because I think a lot of times our ego, we want the
Yes,
title, right? We
I
want that
love the
title,
word that you said.
um,
Yes,
especially in the corporate world, VP,
yeah,
SVP,
yeah,
CEO, president of this and that. Like, the titles can make us feel good.
yeah,
But I
yeah.
love the fact that you're anti that. You want to have a healthy ego about yourself and realizing I am decision maker. I am the person that runs the company, but I'm no different than the rest of the team.
Absolutely, yeah. And I love the word when you said ego, that many a times we all get hung up with our position. The moment you are out of job, you're not that person. So it's so important
Yeah,
to
that's true.
look at us more than the positions that we hold. It's just a temporary thing that there are certain roles that you need to play, and that's all.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So tell me this. Obviously, I've introduced you, your titles and different things like that, but who is Kudan and how does he spend his time today?
So usually I have my own startup, as I've already mentioned. So I spend 3 to 4 hours a day onto my business. I'm trying to create a global business out of it. It's a creative agency. We do a lot of animation, video, creative works for all over the world. But on the other side, the second half of my day goes working with the business consultants, coaching, trying to help people creating, designing their own life. And yeah, and all these knowledges I'm trying to put in a book. So that keeps me quite occupied over the
Yeah.
day.
Yeah, I love that. So it's pretty interesting. You are a creative at heart, right?
Yes, I
You
am.
make content, you create, but also too, you actually help people design and create a life as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Walk me through that. I know you have the 6 pillars that you've
Yeah.
talked about recently on LinkedIn that I saw, the 5 pillars of life. Walk me through that. And what are those pillars that people can start to design? What does that look like?
Lovely. Okay, so I see somebody has really done his homework for that.
Sure, that's what we do. We do homework. I didn't do homework that well in school, but so
Yeah.
I do homework for sure.
Yes, yeah, yeah. No, that's pretty nice to know that at least you have done some kind of put an effort to know. And I'm sure your audience would love all the effort that you're putting in your podcast. For me, at core, everything is about people. There are three P's that I usually talk about. Is the people, perspective, and the possibilities. If you are really honest to the people around you, and if you're open to the perspectives around things happening, and there are a lot of possibilities that open up. So this is my mool mantra, my key element of how I drive life. Usually idea comes that, hey, everybody tells, hey, this is a good life, this is a bad life. But how should you reach to design a life that you want? That's actually the actionability part. And that's where I created six pillars. You're right. In fact, it was five. Gradually, I evolved into six. Is
Yeah,
that the first one is your physical well being, where it's the body, however smart we are, intelligent we are, but the body which is carrying your brain. So that is the first one. Then the next comes is your emotions, which is the mental part. However, we talk that may be the male, female, or any nationality, emotions do dominate us. Then comes is the professionalism. So third one is professional. The fourth one is financial. The fifth is your relational, and then is the social. So why I point out all these things is that the six may sound too much to start with, but that's where when I sit with the founders or when I sit with the business leaders, I ask them just whatever is the first two pillars that you want to work in. The problem is that when you don't know about these pillars, some of the pillars remains neglected forever in life. Many a times people think that if they are professionally good, the finances will automatically happen, which might not be the case.
nope.
Yeah. And for example, when I quit my job, everybody was surprised and saying, hey, Kundan, it is so good to see that you got the financial freedom so young. And I said, how do you know? They said that you must have earned a lot of money. I said, no, I just cut my expenses. And there are so many ways, but we never have been taught in school to think in these terms. And then the other one, as in the most neglected and mostly when the technology is going up, is the social and relation side.
Yeah.
It's getting impacted so much. I was in US for quite a while and I see that loneliness is such a big problem.
Mm.
However fancy places you have, and of course the whole ecosystem is designed that you can survive and you can actually do pretty good being alone. But then end of the day, there is a human need. So that's where when I start working with, and this is for all the audience as well, you may list down all the six pillars, but you can start with any one or two where you really think you are struggling.
Yeah.
So, for example, anybody is coming out of the college, I think working on your professional pillar is very important. And when I say that, you can focus like 60, 70, 80% of your energy over there, but at least have those 20% invested in your physical well being, emotional well being, relational well being. And that helps.
Yeah. I really like this because it breaks down things in life to make life simple.
Yes. Yeah.
And you can start to see what's most important and what's
Yeah.
the excess that you can trim and keep your life lean and simple.
Yes.
So you talk about physical, emotional, financial, professional, relational, and social. And the first thing that comes to my mind is it's a book, Six Pillars of Self-Esteem.
Okay.
And one of the pillars is to live consciously.
Okay.
How you help
Mhm.
your self-esteem. A lot of people aren't conscious of how to live consciously. I feel like these steps help folks break down how they can be more conscious in their day-to-day. You talk about
Right.
growing your professional life could help you financially, but if your spending habits are bad and you're not conscious of your spending,
Yes.
then your financial pillar is not great. Right.
Absolutely.
So we have
Yeah.
to really break down each pillar to be able to understand, hey, what is it that I want at each pillar and how can
Yeah.
I be more conscious of my physical, emotional, professional, financial, and different pillars, right?
Yes.
You mentioned to start slow, right?
Yes.
Focus on one to two pillars. Let's say somebody is very new. They haven't even thought of this concept. Do they start with the physical or do they start with what they're struggling at most or do they start with what they're already excelling at? Start there.
See, the core of, first of all, thank you for talking about the book. I'll try to find some summary and read about it because
Yeah.
I have
Great.
some dyslexic issues, so I don't read much book. but it was great to know that somebody else is also written about it. And
Yeah.
the titles sound fascinating.
Yeah.
Just to, in one word, if somebody approaches me and asks me even that, hey, Kundan, I want to design my life, is the first step of consciousness. That, hey, you are now being conscious about your life. So that's my entry point. I just can't tap somebody on the way and say that, do you want to design your life? No. Everybody has their own priorities. Unless you have taken a conscious choice that I have to take control of my life. I think that is the first point which you said, and that was pretty brilliant. So I just wanted to emphasize on that.
Yeah.
Coming to the point, the biggest problem I see in individuals is that suppose today Josh, for some reason, becomes very famous. The problem with this surrounding is that they'll just start copying you, irrespectively knowing what kind of childhood Josh had, what kind of system Josh lives in, what kind of person he is. The problem with everybody is that we all look for a silver bullet that say, hey, you have to walk 10,000 steps every day and everybody starts doing it. You have to wake up at 5 a.m. and everybody starts doing it. No, these things are good, but you've got to understand your system, what system you're operating in. And nobody understands you better than yourself.
Yeah.
If you don't understand yourself for any reason, trust me, it's very hard for anybody to help you. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
So,
Real
yeah.
quick,
So
because you
quickly
mentioned,
coming to the, yeah, yeah. Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
yes, you said first being conscious, then two being self-aware.
Yes.
All right. I just want to make sure.
So, see, the real part, the problem is that I'll be using a lot of keywords. The problem is in life, everything is connected like a net. You
Mhm.
pull one string and the rest, the tension would be on all the strings. I'm just trying to give some order to it. Is coming back to your question that out of six pillars, if anybody has to start, the first thing is that you have to look at yourself that what is bothering you the most. If your health is not keeping you well, it doesn't matter how smart you are in your school. Your that pillars takes the precedence that you got to focus on your physical well-being first. Okay. Let's say you are everything. You are physically fit. You are a brilliant student or a brilliant professional, but for some reason you are angry for everything. You are just irritated with everything. You got to start with the emotional pillar. It doesn't matter because that is what is shadowing you all the good things that you're doing. So this is how when I sit with somebody, I think it becomes very evident within an hour or two that which pillar to start with.
Yeah. First of all, that's great. And because one thing you mentioned about self-awareness,
Yes.
a lot of us are very influenced by everything we see.
Yeah.
And you mentioned, hey, people are waking up at 5. I need to wake up at 5.
Yeah. Yeah.
People are doing this for their workouts. I need to do this for my workouts. People eat this way. I should eat this way. People are doing
Yeah.
this with their money. I should do this with my money.
Yeah.
Instead of understanding who I am,
Absolutely.
what can people do to really understand who they are, though? Because I feel like it's people out there, they're like, man, I don't know how to really understand who I am or become more self-aware. What do you think people can do to start to become more self-aware?
Okay. The one line answer is that you got to find some reason to spend time with yourself.
Ooh,
Yeah. And nowadays, if you see a lot of people are addicted, a lot of addictions are going up, or the loud music, or some or the other reason. The moment you leave people 15 minutes to stay in a room without engaging in anything, can you just sit with yourself? It becomes chaotic in the head. Why? Because there's so much of noise going in. It may be about the social reasons, or it may be about your past relationship, or it could be X, it could be job. But it is so much noisy in here that doesn't ever let you sit you with yourself. So the simplest thing is that if you can find a reason to spend time with yourself, no, I just want to let all the clutter come, but I'll sort it out. Hey, this is my problem. This is how I want to deal with it. This is what happened in my childhood. This is what is happening in my job. But can you make peace with it? That is the prime start of it. And exercise wise, what I do is to all the coaches that I work with, I tell them, can you listen to yourself when you speak? So usually people don't listen, they speak very fast or some of the other reasons. So the auditory senses are disconnected from the listening senses. And you never know what kind of stupid thing you have said. Sometimes you are arrogant. Can you feel yourself arrogant? Sometimes you are very happy and good going. Can you hear yourself out? I think that is the start of self awareness. And from there, it just builds up. Trust me.
yes. I think that's huge. Being able to spend time with yourself. And you said, don't engage in anything. Don't go on
Yeah.
your phone.
Yeah.
Don't watch
Yeah.
TV.
Yes.
just sit in silence.
Yes.
And I've definitely done that. I remember listening to Deepak Chopra. If can you spend 30 minutes without engaging in anything, just sitting in
Yeah.
silence. Here's why I think people struggle with, you say you have to find a reason to spend time alone. It is tough because of how much is going on in your mind. Fears, past situations, future things happening, and it can be tough to quiet that down. But after a long
Absolutely.
period of time or after doing it consistently, eventually your mind starts to become quiet and you do start to, like you said, hear your own voice as opposed to hearing a bunch of voices on
Yeah.
TV, social media, how you should live your life and what you value. I think that's very huge.
Absolutely.
So talk about this, the 2% rule. Walk us through that. What is that? How can we make our life better?
Oh, you're awesome. I'm so happy that I'm getting to sit with you and talk to you. Lovely, lovely, Josh. 2% change is the small change.
Yeah.
What happens is when I sit with, there is a complete Excel sheet where I design things with whoever I sit, with whoever I consult. On that sheet, we design how can we just try to progress 2% every month. Let's say if you can walk only 5,000 steps, can we increase every week by 2%, which is just the 100 steps? Can you make sure that you're walking 2 steps extra? Can you make sure that when you are saving $100, can you save $120? These are the tiny, tiny steps changes that we do, and I call it a 2% rule of life. That is first one part of it. The major part of it is in the relationship. I see a lot of relationship where a lot of fight goes on, and I'm somebody I do not fight. I do not indulge in any kind of arguments. And usually, what I have seen is in relationships is that two people in relationships are not as different as claim to be. Oh my God, you are so different than me.
Mhm.
And I call it usually that difference is hardly 2%. So let's say I am somebody, I am 70% kind, and I have a girlfriend, she is 72% kind. And usually that's how people vary.
Yeah.
What happens is I see a puppy on the road and I say, oh my God, the puppy is hurt. Let me get it treated and live it back. But my girlfriend says, no, how can you do that? Let's take it home because this puppy is hurt. And I say, no, my father is little allergic to the puppy. So it doesn't make sense. And we don't know what kind of puppy it is. And my girlfriend might fight back and saying, how unkind you are, how much that. So usually when people are together, it's hardly 2% people are different. Unless I am kind, I cannot attract a kind as in very unkind people.
Exactly.
So whenever the group is formed, it's usually people are of the similar principle, similar values, correct? But when we break off because of those 2% of difference that surfaced, and suddenly the emotion banged and made it look like, oh my God, I cannot live with you. So these are the two things that I try to club together, where I talk about 2% of life, where I talk about very small, tiny things. I try to bring peace into the world, and I've seen some dramatic changes in people's life.
Yeah. Just 2%. Just take the next step. Right.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. It- it's so important. And this is something that I've been practicing, I would say, maybe in the last few months, because I felt like trying to make this big difference or this big jump has can feel very overwhelming as opposed to understanding that I'm on the right path in the right
Right.
direction
Yeah.
and just focusing on the daily habits,
Yes.
small daily habits that really make you successful.
Yeah.
The small
I
stuff.
kind of give another example also. Everybody loves to win a lottery, right?
Yeah.
We would love if some suddenly we get a lottery and there is, say, $1 million award money is there. We all would love it. But can you plan a life that I only want to invest that unless I win a lottery, I won't move my life ahead? But we still go for that 2% of job, that $20,000 if I get, or $2,000 I get, I'll work for that job and I will work my way ahead.
Yeah.
So that's how I say is that usually when we plan our things, we usually plan for that lottery, finding a girlfriend or a job or a relation, anything. We usually plan for that lottery that maybe I might get lucky. But the moment you stop working for it, like finding a job, making sure that you're saving bit by bit, creating a life where the lifestyle you can live, it would be very hard because the success rate of a lottery is way less than rest of the success rate. So I don't know if you are one in a million. Yes, you can try that. If you are not, you're somebody like me. let's work hard and create something good for the life.
Yeah. And people don't realize in these small habits, this small 2% over
Yes,
time, it compounds over time.
absolutely. Yeah,
And
exactly the same.
and then like you said, you look up a year from now and you've changed the direction of your life, right?
Yeah.
Just by doing small progression over time.
Right. I'm the biggest testament of it because I lived, and this is, I apply this 2% on all the 6 pillars, and it serves me tremendously amazing.
Yeah, I love that. Talk to me about this though, because the small 2% and these habits, they can be tough to keep up with. I know for me, one thing that it's always been a struggle is the stamina to keep up with these
Mhm.
habits. The waking up early, yeah, I can do it for 2 weeks, but that third week, ah, it's tough. A lot of different habits that are really good for
Yeah.
us. I know a lot of people can relate to being
Mhm.
able to have the ability to do very healthy things in all these pillars, but over time it can be tough. And I
Absolutely.
know for you're big into creating a systematic way of thinking, right? Walk me
Yeah.
through that.
Yeah. Okay. Actually, I belong to a very kind of economically a backward place when I was born, when I was growing up. And even like in India, a place called Bihar, we were economically very weak. And I really wanted a life not only for myself, but for everybody around me. So I started observing people very closely. And what I've seen that when people, as a child, you have so many of dreams, but as an adult, you just start giving up on things, thinking that, hey, this is how life is. I'm trying to be practical. This is not something for me. Somehow I never gave up onto that. I started traveling all across the globe. I spent quite a while in Europe. I was in London. I was in US for 4 years. And somehow I was very lucky that people used to invite me to their home for dinner. So I observe people, and what I'm talking to you is the learning from all of those, all my travel, all my journey, and connecting those dots. Most of the people talk about everything is there in the head. But there
Yeah.
is one more important information I'll tell you is that not the whole decision making happens with the head. Do you know that?
Yeah.
There's something called muscle memory. I believe muscle memory is much stronger than your brain. If something gets into your muscle, like toothbrush, brushing every morning, it could be an addiction or it could be any damn thing. If it gets into your muscles, it happens automatically. What we call is a reflex action that whenever I sneeze, my hand goes up. Nobody has to teach me. So I started working on my muscle memory, and that's automatic button for me. I don't have to force myself or convince myself that I have to do it, but it became me. That's how I am now. Am I making sense?
No, you're making total sense. And I haven't heard muscle memory since playing basketball. You build skill sets where it becomes muscle memory, where
Absolutely.
at first it is very tough. You learn how to dribble, you learn how to shoot. Maybe you have a coach who encourages you to change the way you shoot a basketball. And it's
Mhm.
very tough at first, but
True.
you have to keep practicing it. And the more reps you do, it becomes muscle memory where you don't think about how to shoot in the game.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
just shoot
Uh-huh.
and it becomes muscle memory. And so you talk about creating habits in your life, you're focused on doing it so that you can create that muscle memory where you don't think about it.
Yes.
And we have a lot of habits like this now. You probably unlock your phone and go to your favorite app. Your mind really didn't tell you to do that. It's just muscle memory.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so true. Exactly. This is what is happening. There are a lot of things. What I do is before I go to bed, I sit around 15 minutes with myself that how my day was. I reflect back.
Yeah.
And I think this is the greatest tool a human can have is to reflect back. I'll tell you one interesting thing. Do you know what is the major difference between rest of the species and human? What makes us human?
I would say choice, the ability to choose,
I
but
say just two things: the power of imagination and the long term memory. Rest
mm,
of the humans, the rest of the species, they cannot hold the long term memory. Even a child is very happy because they don't have a long term memory. They are crying and then they start laughing because they don't cannot hold the grudges. Our life is pathetic as an adult because we hold long term memories. The moment you start forgetting things, you are happy, trust me.
yeah.
The way I use my long term memory is that I sit in the night, I reflect back my whole day, and that gives me a perspective that what did I do with, was it a conscious choice or was it an unconscious choice? So there are many times when I see my screen time going 4 hours and up, and I absolutely had no idea. That
Yeah.
is means my muscle is getting trained for something bad, something which I don't want. So what should I do to reverse it? So these are the small things which I really encourage people, and these things do really work.
Yeah,
Yeah,
100%. And it goes back to living consciously, right?
absolutely.
But I also love the fact that you are being able to put the unconscious in your favor.
Yes,
And so that is what people should focus on is building muscle memory for things that work in your favor and try to
absolutely.
avoid making unconscious and building muscle memory in things that don't go in your favor.
Correct. Everybody knows that 80% of us is getting controlled by unconscious behavior of us. For example, what kind of child you were, you have no control over what kind of childhood conditioning you had.
Yeah.
But that contributes so much about who you are today.
Yeah.
It is very important to go back there, talk to your child, and say that, hey, it's okay. It's okay what happened. But now I'm grown up. I can take care of you. And these are the things that you can change your unconscious behaviors, your muscle memory. And they
Yeah.
are very powerful, trust me.
Yeah. And you
Yeah.
realize, especially when you journal about your childhood, or like you said, you start to reflect on your day and see, wait, why did I do that? Why do I
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
things a certain way? And you realize, yeah, it does. It comes from childhood. Maybe it came from your parents, and that's how they
Yes.
do things. And you just do it just because they do it. And you can start to really change the way you do certain things and how you
Ah,
think, right?
true.
So I think that is huge to go back why you have certain behaviors and where they
Uh-huh.
come from. And a lot of
Right.
times it comes from childhood and that conditioning. Yeah.
Yes. So since I have given so much of time and thinking, because I really get excited when I see people doing good in their life. But let's say our audience, this is a very good start point is to just to reflect, spend some time with yourself, and then try to take one pillar at a time. I think that's a very good start to
Yeah. Yeah. One pillar at a time. And
one
but
pillar
you
at a
know
time.
how it helps me think about the pillars that you've named. It helps organize life. If you think about your year and the goals that you have, you can really take these pillars and break it down to really organize how you want to live your life in each pillar.
Absolutely. So mostly I have seen some really good books, but they are so much jargon heavy or they are technically oriented. I want to make things simpler so that after I can talk to students, I can talk to children. And in my beta reading, I have a student, she's hardly 12 years old, and she was so excited about reading the book that nobody taught me ever. And these things should be taught at the school level. And these are not so complex. Once you start telling, if you can teach somebody the whole biology and physics and mathematics, I think these things could be taught.
Yeah, it can be. So I do want to go back to what you said. You said that starting with one pillar, is that the advice that you would give folks? Start with one pillar. And what pillar
Absolutely.
and the pillar that you said that they're struggling with, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Because see, I can say anything, and you might take me, for example, for some reason you are convinced that, hey, Kundan thinks quite a good. What will happen is blindly you will start following me. It won't serve you.
Yeah.
And this is the hero message that I want to tell to everybody through your channel is that please, you got to be your own coach. That is the prime thing. It's okay to hire somebody for just a few months and take advice from somebody, but you got to understand yourself. You got to be your own coach. And even if I say something which might sound very fancy, it's not going to work. However, universal it is that everybody should wake up early in the morning. Yes, it has been proven that but the point is, if your biology is not supporting it, you'll be struggling the whole day just to follow. That is why understanding and knowing your biology, because end of the day, when you do something good, you'll feel good, and that is much more permanent.
Yeah.
You got to ask yourself that what I'm struggling with, you got to identify. I'm glad. I hope nobody struggles, so nobody has to follow these things. And this is something, a loop. You don't have to struggle as what Kundan is struggling. You have to struggle based on your life. If you think it is a problem for you, it is a problem for you.
Mhm.
Nobody else should define that. How come this thing is becoming a problem for you? It doesn't matter. They are not living your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my advice would be that you cannot have a pill that you just open the bottle, popped it up, and just follow it with water and things will start working. No, you have to decide which pill I have to start with first.
Yeah, 100%. And I love that. And you mentioned this because this is powerful. A lot of times we want to get validation for
Yeah.
how we live our life, which is why we do what other people do.
Yeah.
Supposed to
Yeah.
quiet in our mind,
Yeah.
understanding how we want to live our life, design our
Yeah.
own life, and not worry about how other people view our life.
Yeah.
And I think
Absolutely.
that's something powerful that you just mentioned there is we live our life in a way of wanting validation.
Yeah.
and it's not a life that's true to us.
Everything, social validation is a beautiful thing. Now, to the point I am, like, everything in life is amazing. You just have to
Yeah.
understand whether it is healthy for you or unhealthy for you. For example, let's say you're taking drugs, you are doing some criminal activity. Getting a social validation is very important because people will discourage you from doing that, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Okay. But the moment you're trying to do something, you want to be entrepreneur, you want to sing a song, you want to do, again, the same society will discourage you. At that point, it is not good. So
Yeah.
the only validation, is it making you a better person, is the validation. If the social pressure is making you a good person, please do it. If
Yeah.
the social validation is not making you a good person, stop taking validations.
I love what you said. Everything in life is amazing. It's just depending on, is it healthy for you or not? You can use it
Yes.
for you, right?
Yeah.
Is it making you better? And is it coming from the right people?
Yes. Yeah. If they are helping you, if they are serving you to be a better person, they are the right people.
Yeah. I love that. I love
Yeah.
that.
And it's such a simple framework. It is right for the relationship. The person might be your close, it could be your sibling, it could be your parents. If they are not making you a better person, they are not the right people. It could be your girlfriend, it could be your job. If it is not making you a better human being, that is not the right job you're into,
Mm.
right? If any emotions which you are getting in your head, if that is not making you a better person, that is not the right emotion. You got to kill it.
That's huge. That is huge. Even when you talk about your own thoughts, right? If it's
Yes.
not help, if it's not serving you, it's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
yours. It's not right.
Absolutely. So why I'm simplifying this is because a lot of people get messed up into learning about 10 types of emotions and the relationships. And you just have to talk to yourself and say, is this making me a better person? Done.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of times these thoughts can be uncomfortable. The people that are the best for you, they can stretch you to where
Yeah.
it can be uncomfortable when you go back to the folks that make you comfortable and don't really look to help you and
Yeah.
give you feedback that may hurt your feelings in the moment, but will help you be better in the long term, as opposed to people who are just allowing you to stay comfortable with staying the same.
Yeah, absolutely a stunning, a very good point you have made, Josh, that a simple doesn't mean it is going to be comfortable.
Yes, it does help you.
Yes.
Yes, but it can
Yeah.
also be hard to hear and
Correct.
uncomfortable, right?
Yeah. So this is the way life tests you. That do you have that stamina to stand tall with that life? If everything comes easy to you, how will the life differentiate whether they should support you or they should not? If you
Yeah.
want everything easy, this is the way life tests you, and it tests you very hard for 1.5 year. After that, life starts rewarding you. So if you have patience for those time, I think because I have done mathematics, and 18 months is the time which I have seen. It could be 2 months here and there. It could be 16 for some people, it could be 20 for some people. But usually I have seen after 18 months, if you have really life have tested you, if you are really mean what you're trying to say, it starts rewarding you. Yeah.
I love that. So stay with it. Like even when it gets tough, just get
Exactly.
past that wall and it will become beautiful after that.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. I love it. Where can people follow you and hear more about your journey? I know you have the podcast, your company, you have a book that's coming out. I would love for you to share that with the folks.
Earlier, I was not at all on social media. I very recently joined because my friends started pushing me that I should talk more, I should put my words out there. And that's where I'm on social media. So I'm not big on social media as of now, especially not much on Instagram. But yes, all over the Google, you can find me by the name Unbinary Life or Unbinary Kundan. So I'm sure I would request Josh to put my link whenever we are releasing this episode. Unbinary is another philosophy that I'll work on to that and I'll explain it some other time. At the same time, I'm trying to put all my thoughts into my book so that you can get an access. And again, the hero message is about that you got to be your own coach. You got to understand yourself. And trust me, the life opens up beautifully.
Mhm.
After that, you get everything out of life, a good relationship, a good family, a good future, a meaningful life. So I'm somebody who really enjoy putting people before me. Let's see. Other than that, yeah, coming back, talking about the book and about, so by the name of Unbinary Kundan, you can find me all over the internet. It's Unbinary
Yeah.
Kundan.
Yeah.
Okay.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will make sure I put that in these footnotes. And then again,
Right.
obviously, I know you got the YouTube channel, LinkedIn. I know we connected on LinkedIn.
Yes.
And then you have some great content on YouTube. I was able to check out some of your videos and look
Oh,
at your
lovely.
podcast and look at your LinkedIn. And you have some social media stuff that I was able to take a look at. And I know that would help folks out.
Yes.
No, Kudan, you had a very unique perspective on a lot of things.
Yeah.
And you made it very simple.
I'm trying.
So I really appreciate you adding value. And I definitely know that this episode will definitely help a lot of folks.
I'm sure. And for all of you, Josh, I absolutely enjoyed this episode. I would like to put my word out there. I've been doing a lot of podcasts, but I thoroughly enjoyed this one. It's not only what you asked, you were very good with the questions and your perspectives, they are so clear. And I'm really hopeful that we'll get time again that we'll connect. And I would love someday I can invite you